Good morning, LinkedIn community. Welcome to the best episode of Coffee with Jim and James all this week. All right, virtual reality. In my mind, dilithium crystals, holodecks, transport. Beam me up, Scotty. Think of those things, then I think, are those in the future already? Wait, James, wait. Or is it from the future? Huh?
Yeah.
If I don't get James to roll his eyes at me at least once, I haven't done my job. James, how are you this fine morning?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the first time one guest hears that intro and just bells. They're like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'll just make my own podcast or whatever." I'm good, Jim. Excited for today.
You too.
We have Mr. Mike Christian joining us today from the future. That's hard to say. From the future, and Mike and I have got to do a lot of things together, right, Mike? We spoke together on a panel before. We have worked closely together on a partnership that EWN and From the Future had in the past. But super pumped to have Mike here today. Mike, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thank you. And I love the intro, Jim. You know, what you have in your head is perfect. That's exactly how things are. It's amazing. It's uncanny.
That's sometimes scary, Mike, but that's a whole nother story. But no, it's great to have you on today. We really appreciate it. Let's dive in. Mike, we've known each other for a while, and I know you guys encompass so much and done so many things. Can you share with our viewers just some of the highlights, where you guys began, some of the history? Bring us into your world, if you would.
Absolutely. I'll even go back further, probably further than you want, but I'll bring it up quickly.
From the past.
That's right. We're gonna go from the future to the past. Anyway, I was born on a dairy farm in Oklahoma. I mean, out in the middle of nowhere, and farm life's boring. So I lived in my head a lot, and I created these virtual worlds in my head. I read a lot. I read The Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, everything I could get my hands on. And I think that's kind of where all this stuff started. So as I got older, the way to create virtual worlds was video games. So I got into video gaming and worked for Atari and THQ and learned how to program these virtual worlds. How to do the 3D in real time. Started on the Nintendo, all the way up to PlayStation, Xbox. Big games, franchises, Terminator, Mission Impossible.
Awesome.
Stuntman, even Daffy Duck. So I did a lot of the artificial intelligence, and eventually I was a tech lead. One of the founders is also a tech lead, and we had some art leads. So there's 4 of us, 2 artists, 2 programmers, and we all started From the Future after we got tired of doing games for other people. So we did games for ourselves, and then we also had paid bills because gaming is a very winner-take-all kind of endeavor. So we're competing with some big companies. So while we lived out our passion, we worked on mobile apps, and we became known as heavy hitters in the area for technology. And so that's where our name came from. From the future, we felt like we were just always on the bleeding edge of technology, and we did bleed a lot, but it paid off because we were one of the early adapters for virtual reality, and we started talking to Energy WorldNet was one of our very first real customers when it came to virtual reality training. And it's virtual reality training where I realized that, along with some of the other stuff we're going to talk about later in the medical field, these are the things I feel like are the most impactful things that we can do. So, we went from believing, gaming was where it at, when we realized these virtual worlds could be used to change people's lives. Building on, Energy WorldNet's been doing this for many years now. And I feel like this is just the next evolutionary step into what you guys have already been doing, and just building on top of that, and being able to just really reach people in learning at a level that's never been done before, with this immersive technology where you're learning by doing, and existential learning, they call it, learning 3.0, we call it. So that's where we're at, and we've been just exploring virtual reality and then honing in on the training and some of the medical applications, because we really want to do make lives better, and I think it's a very similar goal with what Energy WorldNet has, and that's why we have always valued the partnership that we've had with you guys and some of the work that we've done with you. So hopefully that's kind of it. I brought it back to the present, hopefully.
From a small child at a dairy farm.
That's right.
I love it.
Dirt.
Yeah. Well, Mike, you mentioned it. You know, we at EWN, we have a passion for training, obviously, and innovation. That's really two of our big focal points, and that was how From the Future and Energy WorldNet really aligned. So, you know, I could tell you to talk about this training and how it's going to change the world and how great it is and how immersive it is, but I don't know that it really does VR justice when you start talking about VR and AR. You try to get people there, but honestly, until someone puts on a headset or is able to really look at it for the first time and see the impact, I don't think it does it the justice that it deserves. So, you know, in pregame of this, Mike said, you know, I could just show people. So you probably noticed we have another guest, Mike's PC, whichever corner of the box.
Below me.
It's not some creepy uncle. It's actually Mike's computer. So Mike's going to share a screen, and Mike, we'll give you the floor, and you can show off some of the awesome stuff you guys are doing over there.
Absolutely. And you're so right, James. You know, until you actually get inside a headset, you just don't know. It's only once you're there and your brain is tricking you and believe. You could even be in you could be in, like I mentioned Daffy Duck earlier, you could be in a Daffy Duck cartoon, and if you're in VR, you're going to believe that you're really there. So that's one of the lessons we learned. You don't have to have these perfect photorealistic worlds to actually engage with them.
Sure.
That being said, so what you're going to see is a filtered version of that. So it's going to be lower frame rate because we are on a Zoom virtual call. So this is still not going to be the same as actually having your head in a headset. But I'm going to do my best to bridge the gap by describing it. So I'm going to let you see my VR hair here.
Whoa.
Sculpted by Quest, Oculus
behind the scenes. We got
So a lot of our stuff is on the Oculus Quest and some of the mobile headsets, but since I'm broadcasting, I'm using an Oculus Rift, which is connected to my PC. So the software that we created, you know, supports all the popular VR platforms. And so I'm going to first show you what we do to get VR content in VR quickly. We can take traditional learning material, whether it's PowerPoint slides or computer-based training, and display it on a large screen right in front of you. And then down below, we have what we call the VR workbench. And so what we do is once we get the traditional material in the form of slides and audio, which a lot of us are familiar with in the computer-based training world, we start adding activities on the workbench desk. And I'll show you an example of that. Here's where we're learning PPE as well as, you know, how to operate the VR. And we have these slides over here. You can pick up one of the past slides and it shows you, you know, what that is while you're looking at it. You can throw that back and go back to where we are. And let me take you to one of my more favorite parts. Just going to skip ahead.
Mike, while you're doing that, this just rings a bell to me that, you know, I'm so used to the idea of training, safety training, natural gas grids, electric grids, whatever the case may be, but you could actually do a lot of soft skills training potentially in something like this.
Oh, absolutely. We support like 360 videos. So, you know, sometimes where you need a complex environment or you need to film live people interaction, you know, the soft skills training is invaluable. I mean, Walmart does it, and they actually credit saving some lives. I believe it was where they had an active shooter situation. I think it was San Antonio. somewhere around that area. But yeah, they had soft skills training through VR, and it was a much simpler setup. And so this will support that kind of interaction, as well as you can see my hands here. I've got hand grip interactions. I can pick up objects. Here we're
Very
teaching
cool.
people just how to interact and grab, and we're showing them the basics at this point. And you can progress, to the next slide or the previous slide. Here I show how to use, PPE. I've got a mirror here. Right now I'm just I guess a half-naked bald blue guy.
Yeah. This might be the most racy episode we've had, but we'll see if we can get through it.
I'll try to get quickly dressed here. Now I'm just a blue bald guy with a safety vest on and gloves. And then we talk about hard hats. There's bricks falling from the sky right now. So this shows you a little bit of what you can start to do. Now I'm learning about eye and head protection. I've got bricks falling on my head. Obviously, I need a hard hat. I'll put that on, show the hard hat, put my cool safety gloves on, my safety glasses on. Now I'm looking really good. So I can move on. So a lot of that, and let me, so this, to back up, this is a construction training module that teaches about mobile elevated work platforms, MUPs, specifically boom lift training. And there's 5 modules. So after we show them how to, talk a little bit about PPE and a little bit about how to do VR, we take them to modules where they learn, some familiarization and delivery with boom lift. And
Very cool.
Here's a good example. We show all the different types of MUPs, on top of the workbench while we're, listed up on the slides. So they can pick these up. They can inspect them. These right now, these are Genie and JLG branded
Nice.
type stuff. And they can pick them up and look at them. So, we teach about familiarization, and, and then most of the rest of the training is going to take place on a straight arm boom lift. So it's just this guy right here, kind of a generic, a lot of what you learn in these modules applies to this guy, or applies to a lot of them. Sure. I'm going to skip ahead real quick. We do safety training. I'm going to give you another good example of what you can do with the desktop. So now I've got, VR training superpowers, or I've got a God's eye view of a work site. And it shows, the different hazards, with overhead construction. You got to be worried about crush by, of course, fall in a ditch. That's not good. It didn't take much intuition to figure that out. Curbs, slopes, and other things. And I can actually operate the boom lift, the little boom lift from the desk.
Oh, very cool.
And so we use that mechanism a lot just to do different, safety scenarios. And then, there's all the different kinds, and you can actually drive and see the results of your actions. So that here's a high wind condition, because these things actually can blow over, if they're up high and the wind's blowing strong enough. So as we know, in Texas and, a lot of states, Oklahoma, Texas, the winds get pretty strong. So let me skip ahead. This is the boom lift inspection module, and I'm going to show you how you can then go to a full-blown boom lift inspection. So what you see out here is what we call the infinity room, and the focus is on the inspection, not on any, we don't worry about rocks and bushes and trying to make it too realistic. The fact that we're here and looking at a life-size boom lift is all we really need. So this is all, functional. You can see my hands interacting with switches and, different parts of it. I can start it. I can move the platform up and down. But the most important thing is I'm looking for inspection problems. Right now I see that there's a problem with the stickers.
Yep.
So I've got an actual construction form for doing inspections, and I can interact with it. We've got an AI-assisted virtual reality forms process to pull forms into VR. And so we pull the inspection form directly in, and I can say, okay, safety decals are in place and readable, fail. So we know that's not correct. At any point in time, I can drop this. It goes back to the platform. I can pop over here. I can look at this. Okay, I can see that's not cool. Somebody's a real Litter bug, there's probably something about that on here.
Yeah.
Our manual's in place. I can check that. Work. Okay, clear debris. That's a fail. So when I'm done, I can hit finished. I can say finished inspection. Go back to the desk, and now I've got my inspection results. I've got 3 screens. Every item on the form here, it shows what action I took, whether I answered it or not, or if I answered it failed or correct. And then the result, incorrect, correct, in some cases not applicable. And so I can see all the results. There's a report button right here. That's more for me right now in development. But when we hook up to our classroom app, it will pull the reports and I can see how I did. So there's one more thing I want to show you guys before jumping out. So I'm going to skip ahead. We also, in addition to inspection, we teach you how to operate. And so what we do is every slide will go through every single control, as well as foot controls. Even though I don't have feet, we still teach you how to do feet by hitting the engage button and your virtual foot goes in. Because one of the things in operating a boom lift is you have to have your foot on the switch. Anytime your foot's off that switch, then all operations cease. So we train people on that, and then we'll put them on a construction site. So now we're getting into a little bit more bigger simulation. So this is an actual construction site in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, at least the exterior. The rest of it we made up. And what I mean by made up is you see these buildings here. There's 3 of them. We randomize the heights, and then we randomize flags so that you can then operate the boom lift and go. It's basically a capture the flag exercise. So you got to avoid the, hitting your construction dummies. You got to avoid, hitting your truck. You've got to avoid hitting these other obstacles. And I have to actually start it. I'm not going to do this right now, but I have to actually start it, get on it, clip in my safety harness, which I should be wearing, but I don't see it at the moment. And then I can drive. And if I wreck, it's an instant fail. But at the end, it scores me on how well I looked around, how well I operated the controls, and how fast, not how fast, but how efficient I was at grabbing flags.
Very
And
cool.
so, one quick note also is we use construction dummies instead of real people because, you got to take safety serious, right? You got to realize that this is not a video game in the sense that you can just, treat life cavalier. So you don't want realistic people getting run over by a boom lift, So we use
No
these
doubt.
crash dummies to get the point across, but not traumatize, because they're, you never know who's taking the training. They may have had someone that they know that was injured or killed at a construction site. So you want to be respectful of that.
Sure.
At the same time, you want to communicate the seriousness of it for maybe the people that are new to it. All right. So the crash dummy was our middle of the road trying to hit those goals.
Mike,
Okay,
if you,
I'm gonna
if
stop
you don't,
sharing now.
yeah, there you go. There you go. Man, that's awesome. It's been a minute since I've seen behind the curtain on this on this project and many others, but it looks awesome. I remember when this was kind of a sketch on a notepad kind of idea. So seeing it come to life is amazing. So kudos
Thank
on
you.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just some feedback from the industry. And I think, Mike, you and I might have talked about it before COVID, but I've had many high-ranking members of natural gas utilities across the United States say that this is a great environment because it gives newer people or people going through training or certification the freedom to fail. And if you fail in that setting, it's a lot better than failing out in the real world. And, the more that they can become accustomed to it, the better. So freedom to fail, I thought that was a kind of an interesting and very, very important phrase.
Yeah, absolutely. It falls under the umbrella of learning by doing, which is something we're very fond of saying, in the VR world, especially when it comes to training and education. And I believe in that so strongly. I actually spent a good part of my summer in my spare time, writing a book about the subject,
Yes.
And
Yeah.
I felt so strongly about it that I made a bold statement, which was, you know, how VR will revolutionize training and education. And I don't believe it's a matter of if it will happen. It's really more a matter of when. And I think companies like EWN and companies like mine and various innovative, you know, forward-thinking thought leaders and clients, you know, it's going to take everybody. It's a complicated process, but in the end, it's well worth it because it's going to have a tremendous impact. And it's where things are going. And if we want it to happen sooner rather than later, it's going to take all hands on deck, you know, from educators to, you know, subject matter experts, et cetera.
Yep. Two things. Where can we find your book in the marketplace? Where can we find that?
Well, it's super easy and it's fun. So all you get, if you're on Facebook and you join the From the Future Facebook group, you will get a free copy.
Okay.
If you don't want to be on Facebook, which, you know, that's very understanding these days. If you're on LinkedIn, you can join the From the Future group there. If you just hate the internet but still have email, just email me, or, you know, I'll send you a copy of the book. It's more important that I get the hands. You know, I want to connect with people, which is why I asked for people to join our groups, but it's important to get the message out.
Is that a real dog or a virtual dog?
That is the Chihuahua. I think it was before we went live, but this is the Chihuahua that rules my life now. Amen. And she is both inspiration and perspiration. She's completely deaf and mostly blind, so she's disabled, and she's a young dog. It's not from age; she was born that way. But she is just she's like a little Napoleon. You know, she's definitely got that little dog syndrome.
If she comes in by, make sure you hold her up. Come on, gotta get a little.
Well, she must have. Despite being deaf, I think she heard us.
Love it.
Mike, we're getting close to time, but that hits on a subject I definitely wanted to touch base with, because I know you do a lot in the medical field, and not for animals, I would say, but for the medical.
Not yet.
It's coming. Especially autism with children. I just want to touch base on that because I think that's very interesting. Can you give us a glimpse of that, please?
I would love to. You know, a lot of our business is built around, you know, serving industrial markets and, you know, energy and construction and so forth. But our give back is autism therapy. And so we've been actually in the background working off and on for a couple of years on virtual reality treatment for kids that exhibit autism. And in fact, we recently won a contest with the Dallas Business Journal, and they awarded $10,000 as the prize. And I was kind of blown away. I didn't expect to win. There was too many, you know, awesome people in the contest, but we won. So I'm going to use that money to go towards, you know, development. When it comes to VR development, I'm sad to say $10,000 is not a lot of money, but it is enough to really push what we have forward when you combine that with our enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And so what it is people, and I won't just say kids, but people with autism have trouble making sense of the real world.
Yeah.
It's complex, or sensory overload, you know, facial expression, you know, the whole thing. There's the whole gamut, a whole spectrum. What you can do in VR is create a simpler world, even a cartoon world, because a lot of these kids, they'll watch Disney over and over and over. They'll be into anime. And the reason they do that is because it helps them make sense of the real world. So why not take them and put them in these worlds? And then while they're in these worlds, give them the ability to interact with each other, to learn social skills and cooperate, give them the ability to shop for groceries, give them the ability to do applied behavior analysis therapies, you know, and be able to, you know, everything from just identifying objects at one level to actually, you know, performing a job function at another level. And so these are all things that we have a lot of fun doing. It really goes back to our gaming roots too, because, you know, we can turn these into games for these kids. These kids can hey, you're passionate about dinosaurs, well, then your avatar can be a T-Rex, you know, or you're passionate about lobsters, well, you can be a lobster, you know, and then you guys can talk to each other. So, yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
Kudos.
It's so cool.
Thank you.
So cool.
Yeah.
And congratulations on. I saw that y'all won.
Well, thank you.
That, so that's fantastic to see. Mike, I already know this answer, but it's kind of a bit at this point, so I'm gonna do it anyway. But Mike, we're proud to have you here today. One thing I've been asking a lot of our guests is one question. It's very simple. You won't even have to train for it. You won't have to do VR, nothing. And that's, do you love what you do, Mike?
Oh, absolutely. And I think you guys can tell just from the way I'm talking that I do. I'm almost too passionate about it. I have to tone it down a little bit when I'm talking to people. Otherwise, I'll just seem like a crazy person.
Like a nerd.
But yeah, I do.
It's not, you know, I've got to spend some time with your crew over there. And I don't even know if you know this, you know, my background before I was at EWN was actually in technology. So I was a developer for 15 years before.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And I didn't do video games or anything cool like that. But so being around your folks was always fun for me, just to kind of feel back in that space again. And you've got a great team over there, and y'all are doing awesome stuff.
Thank you. I'm very lucky. They're all very dedicated to what they're doing. You know, everybody from you know, business development down to production to QA to programming and art. Everybody loves what they do, and they're very, you know, I never have to, you know, yell at anybody to work harder. You know, it's like most times say, hey, take some time off, you know, or relax a second.
Sharpen the saw. Sharpen the saw. Well, I on behalf of James and I, we can't thank you enough for spending the time with us today. It's been absolutely fun. It's been invigorating. Learn something even more and more each and every time that I get a glimpse into your world. I will encourage our viewers to please connect with Mike, follow From the Future, maybe get a book by doing so. So learn something. I can't again thank you enough for all the effort you put into today, Mike, and it really means a lot to us. And thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for letting us see behind the curtain too.
Oh, absolutely. That was my pleasure. And thank you guys. Any excuse to hang with Jim and James, you know, I mean, I would just, if you guys do that reality TV show where you're locked in a mansion in Florida, I want to be a guest.
Wait, that's going to be,
that's 2020. Well, we'll see how the rest of 2020 goes.
Yeah.
That may be 2021. It may be next week. We'll see.
Who knows? All right, I'm going to wrap it up. Again, thank you for joining us today. I hope you got a little bit of new information out of this. Please connect with Mike, follow From the Future. Until next time, we wish everybody to stay safe. Have a great day. God bless you, and God bless our industry. Take care, and we will see you in the future.
All right. Bye,
Thank you, everyone.
Bye,
Thanks,
y'all.
Mike.